They say, don't they, that the grass is always greener on the other side. And that was certainly true for the 3 billy goats gruff, but... was it worth the death of the 2 smaller goats in order to find that out? Alan Goat and Paul Goat, sad loss to the world of goats there. Reminds me, when I was about 15, I was interrailing through Europe, and I went to Switzerland with my friend Pete. And we were sitting at the top of this mountain, Pilatus, overlooking all the beautiful green Swiss meadows, and I turned to Pete and I said, I wish I could stay here. I wish I didn't have to go home to the West Midlands. And he said to me, well, thing is, Stu, the grass is always greener, isn't it? And I said, under the circumstances, Pete, that is a fatuous comment. We're in Switzerland here, where the grass literally is greener. You're wasting your breath. And he said to me, I hate you. Walked away, and I've not seen him since. But I understand what that phrase means now, the grass is always green. It's like a metaphor saying that the situation you're in now doesn't seem as good as a different situation that you might potentially be in at a later date. I'll give you an example of how I sort of worked that out. About 1989-90, I had this job. I was working for the Transport Authority, and my job was to go all along one side of the M1, checking how green the grass was that was growing just along that side. And I had to pick it up and look at it, hold it up to the light and see how green it was. And if I found a really extremely green piece of grass, I would log that, and I would get a pay incentive, like a little bonus for each very green piece of grass that I found. And then on the other side of the M1, there was another bloke going along the other side, and it was his job to do the same thing, the corresponding other side of the motorway. But after about 9 or 10 months of doing it, I noticed that he was getting a lot more pay bonuses than I was, as he was finding a lot more of the really green grass on his side of the motorway. And one night we were in the shed where we slept after work by the motorway, and I said to him, I don't think this is fair, you know, because I've noticed that you're getting a lot more money than me, and that there's more green grass on your side of the motorway. And he said to me, well, the grass is always greener on the other side, isn't it? And I said, well, in your case, it literally is. And we can see that from your increased pay in relation to how many green pieces of grass you've found. And he said, well, I only meant it as a metaphor. And I said, yeah, but it is actually true. And then he said to me, who do you think is paying us for this job and why? It's almost as if they've set the whole thing up to prove the redundancy of a certain figure of speech. And I said, yeah, well, I'm fed up with it anyway. I said, I'm going to pack it in. I'm going to go and get a better job. I can get a better job than this. And he said, well, before you go, just think about it. Remember, the grass is always greener on... And I just walked out. I don't know if you've seen the film The Great Escape with Steve McQueen. At the end, he's motorcycling along the German border, trying to escape, right? And he's being chased by Germans, and he jumps up in the air on his motorbike, but it falls down into all the barbed wire, and he's lying there in the barbed wire, all tangled up. Coming from behind him, one way he's got loads of German soldiers all shooting at him, and the other way he's looking ahead, out across the border to freedom and safety. And I often think he must have looked out there and thought to himself, well, the grass is certainly greener over there, isn't it? Of course, he'd have been right, because he would have been looking into Switzerland.